Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, it is going to be another movie review. And I'm going to be reviewing Ghostbusters Afterlife. So Ghostbusters Afterlife is the fourth film in the Ghostbusters franchise, and this time around, we will be seeing original director Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman, in the director's chair, continuing his father's legacy. In this fourth entry, we follow a new set of characters on a new ghost-busting adventure. But believe me, it is very much so still set in the same world. Before I get into the review itself, if you enjoy movie reviews, I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of the movie reviews I had done in the past, and now I'm adding to that folder once again. So be sure to check that out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And with all that being said, let's hop right into things. Firstly, let's discuss the positives. And the very first positive I would like to discuss is that I absolutely loved the main family and Paul Rudd. The main family consisting of Carrie Coon as the mother, Finn Wolfhard, and McKenna Grace, with McKenna Grace being the absolute undeniable standout of this movie. She absolutely crushes it and without a doubt is a huge star in the making. Paul Rudd just sort of plays Paul Rudd, but I love that, so it works for me. The next positive I wanted to discuss, and this one, it's kind of in the middle with most other reviews it seems, and that is the nostalgia-laced moments. They never really felt overbearing to me. A lot of people seem to think that the references were a bit too much or a bit too frequent, but I actually quite enjoyed them. After that, without getting into any spoilers, there are some very, very hard-hitting emotional moments during the final act of this movie. And I'm not even a lifelong fan of these movies. I literally just watched the first one all the way through, beginning to end, for the very first time this very week, and these moments still got to me. That's how good they are. This movie also did an excellent job at recapturing that sense of wonder and bewilderment that the original executed so well. I found it perfectly walked that thin line between being a sequel to the original and paying the utmost respect to it, while also finding its own legs and being its own thing. And personally, I'd love to see more of these characters on new ghost-busting adventures. And now I'll discuss some of the things that were in the middle ground for me, and actually I say some of the things, but it was really only one thing. And that is the fact that the villain of this movie is the same villain of the original, and I don't really know how to feel about that. I sort of like how they played up that these characters are finishing what the original Ghostbusters started, but at the same time I also would have enjoyed if they had a new original big villain to take down. The first negative is that I found the first half or so of the movie to be pretty slow. Thankfully, the second half of the movie really picks it up. But I'm not gonna lie, I did check my watch a couple times early on. And the next negative that I wanted to address is that sadly, I really didn't care for any of the side characters aside from Paul Rudd, if you see him as a side character. There's this girl that Finn Wolfhard is flirting on and off with, and like, she's okay, she does her job. And McKenna Grace's character has this friend that she meets, and his name is Podcast, and like, he's hit or miss. You know, I get a few chuckles out of him here and there, but overall, I found they played up his character a bit too much in this movie. The rest of the characters, you can't even begin to remember their name. And the last real negative that I have with this movie is that I found the product placement to be a bit aggressive. Don't get me wrong, it's not like Michael Bay Transformers levels of in your face, but it is definitely in there. At the end of the day, I was pleasantly surprised with just how much I enjoyed Ghostbusters Afterlife. I felt that the main family and Paul Rudd were all fantastic lead characters, with once again McKenna Grace being the astounding standout. A lot of the nostalgia really worked for me, and even as someone who isn't a lifelong fan, so I don't really feel that sense of nostalgia, I just appreciated all of the callbacks. There are some surprisingly hard-hitting emotional moments that really tugged on my heartstrings and had me welling up. And I also found it did a really good job at recapturing that sense of wonder and bewilderment that the original executed on so well. And the only real negatives that I had is that I did find the first half to be pretty slow, which I understand. It was trying to build these characters up and make us really care about them, and I get that. It had to set the stage, but there were definitely moments where it dragged a bit more than it needed to. I didn't really care for any of the side characters. If you count Paul Rudd as a side character, then I cared about him, but anyone else, not so much. And the product placement is a bit too aggressive for my liking. Like, I don't mind it a little bit here and there, and again, it's not on the same level as something like Michael Bay's Transformers movies, but the product placement is definitely noticeable. In the end, I had a great time with Ghostbusters Afterlife. And as I said earlier, I found it perfectly walked that very thin line between being a good sequel to the original, while also finding its own path and setting the stage for possible future adventures that I really hope that we get. And with all that being said, I'm going to be giving Ghostbusters Afterlife a 7.5 out of 10. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my review. While you're down there, feel free to let me know what review you'd like to see me do next. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.